Try and picture the NFL's greatest quarterbacks. Now, I bet most of the people you thought of were about as mobile as your grandma. But there do exist athletic quarterbacks who are dual threat when running and passing. I'm the S in Sock Sports, and these are the top 5 greatest mobile quarterbacks in NFL history. Number 5, Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was the second pick for the 1990 draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fans are pissed off and booed him. He used this to fuel his successful career. In his 12 seasons, he would play for the Eagles, Redskins, and Vikings. While he wasn't amazing at the tail end of his career, the beginning and his career overall are impressive. He's a big, powerful runner who could also throw. A lot like Cam Newton, who might appear on a list like this later in his career. Anyway, he finished his career with 6 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl appearance, NFC Player and Offensive Player of the Year award, 3,459 rushing yards, and 29 rushing touchdowns. This was obviously not what Eagles fans first expected when he was picked on draft day. Number 4, Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton was the OG. He's basically the first quarterback to get it done in both the air and on the ground. He was drafted in 1961 before the NFL-AFL merger, and as a result, was drafted by both the NFL and AFL. In the 3rd round by the NFL's Minnesota Vikings, and in the 5th round by the AFL's Boston Patriots. He would choose to go with the Vikings, and his successful career was off to a start. He would play a resilient 16 seasons for the Vikings, Giants, and Vikings again. By the end of his career, he would have 3,674 rushing yards and 32 rushing touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 9 Pro Bowls, an NFL MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and a Hall of Famer. Also, his running skills and elusiveness have been on display in highlight films for 50 years, and if you've been watching the video portion, you've seen some of his skills. Why isn't he higher? Well, he wasn't as dedicated a runner as the others on this list. Number 3, Randall Cunningham. In 1990, he was the 10th leading rusher in the entire league, while no other than our pal, good old Randall Cunningham. Yes, that's including running back, which makes it insane.
You sound insane. Do you realize that? You should be medicated.
In 1990, Cunningham had 942 yards on the ground, which is just mind-boggling for a quarterback. Coming out of college, Cunningham decided to play for the NFL's rival, the USFL, but before the season even began, the league folded, forcing Randall to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles in 1985. For 3 seasons, he was a backup to Eagles legend Von Jaworski, and was used sparingly. In 1987, he became the full-time starter and never looked back. Cunningham would play 16 seasons for the Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys, and Ravens. In those seasons, he would rack up 4,928 rushing yards, 35 touchdowns, 4 Pro Bowls, and 3 NFL MVPs. While his rushing talents were remarkable, he was never able to achieve the same accolades and winningness of the other QBs on this list, which lands him at number 3. Number 2, Michael Vick. You're thinking, well, we'll talk about that later. Michael Vick was the first overall pick in the 2001 draft by the Atlanta Falcons. Though never winning a championship, he would be a dominant freak in his time with the team. Then he ran into some trouble and spent time in jail after the 2006 season. After getting out in 2009, he would sign with the Eagles and do reasonably well. After his time here, he would become a backup and see very little playing time. The end of his career is very underwhelming, but the beginning to middle was definitely impressive enough to make the list. He has 6,100 rushing yards, 36 touchdowns, 4 Pro Bowls, and he was the 2010 Comeback Player of the Year. Michael Vick is definitely the best pure runner on the list, but he's not higher because of his undignified end. Number 1, Steve Young, the greatest dual threat ever. Steve Young was the obvious pick. His accolades are better than all on this list. Before we get to that, let's talk about his background. Young first played for the USFL rather than the NFL because the rival league offered him more money. Fortunately, the league didn't last long, and after it's folded, Young was signed to the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In his 2 seasons with the Bucs, Young started 19 games and went 3-16 through only 11 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, and had less than a 55% completion percentage. Despite all of this, the mad genius and 3-time Super Bowl winning coach Bill Walsh was greatly interested in Young's athletic ability and dealt Tampa Bay a 2nd and 4th round pick for him. After serving as a backup to legend Joe Montana from 1987 to 1990, Young finally became the full-time starter and never looked back. In his 8 seasons as a starter, he had 4,239 rushing yards, 43 touchdowns, which is tied for most by a quarterback, a Super Bowl win, a Super Bowl MVP, 7 Pro Bowls, 2 league MVPs, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my.
These accolades and, of course, his tremendous running ability put Steve Young as the greatest mobile quarterback ever. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more, like and subscribe to Sock Sports. Better than Fox.